The Red Cross doesn't want you buying whatever's on sale at the grocery store. They want you buying food that survives you. Food that can sit in a closet for years and still keep you alive when the power's out and the shelves are empty. These are the 9 foods they actually recommend. Number 6 is the one most people throw away without realizing it never expires. Food 1. White rice. Start with the cheapest calorie on the planet. A 20-pound bag of white rice runs you about $15 and delivers roughly 30,000 calories. That's 2 weeks of food for one person, for less than the cost of a single dinner out. Here's the part people get backwards. Brown rice is the healthier choice, but its natural oils mean it goes rancid within 6 months. White rice, stored in an airtight container away from light, stays edible for up to 30 years. In an emergency, the healthier option is the one that's actually still there when you need it. It also does double duty. The starchy water left over from boiling rice works as a basic oral rehydration aid. Useful information if a stomach bug hits and the pharmacy shelves are empty. The move. Buy in 20 to 25 pound bags, split into smaller airtight containers with oxygen absorbers, and store somewhere cool and dark. Don't buy the pre-portioned pouches. You're paying triple for the packaging. Food 2. Dried beans and lentils. Pair rice with dried beans and you've got a complete protein. All 9 essential amino acids for pennies per serving. Beans have fed civilizations through famine and war for thousands of years, and they're not on this list by accident. Unlike almost every other food category, dried beans get easier to cook as they age properly, not harder. Stored correctly, they're viable for decades. Lentils and split peas cook the fastest, which matters more than you think. When you're rationing propane or firewood, a bean that cooks in 20 minutes instead of 90 is the difference between a hot meal and a cold one. The move. Mix a fast cooking legume like lentils with slower ones like black beans or chickpeas. Store in food grade buckets with mylar liners. This isn't a throw it in the pantry food. It needs real protection from moisture. Food 3. Honey. Honey is the only food that genuinely does not expire. Archaeologists have found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that was still safe to eat. It's naturally antimicrobial, has essentially no water activity for bacteria to grow in, and doubles as a wound treatment when you're out of antibiotic ointment. The catch is that honey crystallizes over time. People see the solid, cloudy texture and assume it's spoiled, then throw away a food that's still perfectly good. It's not. A jar of warm water in 10 minutes fixes it completely. Calorically, it's dense, about 64 calories per tablespoon. All fast-absorbing sugar your body can use immediately when you're exhausted, or your blood sugar's crashed. The move. Buy raw, unfiltered honey if you can. It lasts just as long as the processed stuff, but the crystallization issue is the only thing to watch for. Don't refrigerate it. Room temperature, sealed, forever. Food 4. Peanut butter. 1 jar of peanut butter holds around 6,000 calories, requires 0 cooking, 0 water, and 0 refrigeration. That's roughly 3 days of survival calories sitting in a single jar on a shelf. Beyond the raw calorie math, peanut butter solves a problem most prepper lists ignore completely: morale. Emergency rations that taste like cardboard cause people, especially kids, to eat less than they need, right when they need calories the most. A familiar, sweet, satisfying food keeps appetite and mental state stable when everything else is falling apart. 2 tablespoons also gets you 7 grams of protein and healthy fats that help your body absorb vitamins from whatever else you're eating, which matters if your diet has suddenly narrowed to whatever's shelf stable. The move. Skip the natural peanut butter that needs stirring and separates in storage. Go with a shelf-stable version rated for long-term storage and keep more than 1 jar in more than 1 location in the house. Food 5. Cooking oil. A single liter of cooking oil packs over 8,000 calories, more concentrated energy, pound for pound, than almost anything else on this list. When your body starts burning through fat reserves during its extended stress, dietary fat isn't optional. It's how your body keeps producing hormones and absorbing nutrients at all. Oil also unlocks other food on this list. Rice and beans without fat is survivable but miserable. With a spoonful of oil, it's an actual meal. It also lets you cook over improvised heat sources without everything sticking and burning. Not all oils store equally. Coconut oil is solid at room temperature and lasts years with built-in antimicrobial properties. Standard vegetable oil is the cheapest calorie per dollar option. Whatever you choose, heat and light are the enemy. It goes rancid fast once exposed. The move? Store in the original sealed container in a cool, dark cabinet below 70 degrees Fahrenheit if possible. Don't buy the giant jug unless you're going through it. Smaller bottles mean less air exposure once opened. If you've made it this far, you already know most people never actually check what's in their pantry until it's too late. So hit subscribe now. because next week I'm breaking down the grocery chains actually marking up emergency food by 300% and banking on your panic. Food 6, powdered milk. Here's the one almost nobody thinks about, and the one most people accidentally throw out. Powdered milk lasts up to 20 years properly stored, but most people buy the small canister from the regular grocery aisle, which is only rated for 18 months. See a best buy date, and toss food that's actually fine or never buy it again. The version that lasts 2 decades is specifically labeled for long-term storage, different packaging, different oxygen barrier, sold by emergency supply retailers rather than the regular dairy aisle. That distinction is the whole difference between a food that works and one that doesn't. 1 pound reconstitutes into almost a gallon of usable milk. For cooking, for coffee, for kids who need calcium and protein when fresh dairy simply isn't available. It also turns bland stored food into something edible. Flour becomes pancakes. Canned vegetables become a cream soup. The move. Specifically buy the long-term storage version, not the grocery store canister. Check the packaging for a shelf life measured in decades, not months. If it doesn't say it, it isn't it. Food 7, salt. Salt doesn't expire, period. It's not really food in the calorie sense, but it's arguably the most important item on this entire list, because it's what lets you preserve everything else. Before refrigeration existed, salt was how humans kept meat and vegetables edible for months. In an extended emergency, if you have access to any fresh food, a garden, a hunted animal, a neighbor trading extra produce, salt is what turns that into food that lasts. It's also non-negotiable for basic health. Your body needs sodium to function, and if you're sweating through physical labor with no AC and no grid, you lose it fast. It's absurdly cheap and takes up almost no space, which makes it one of the highest value, lowest effort items on this entire list. The move. A few pounds of plain, non-iodized salt in a sealed container is enough for years. This is the one item where more genuinely never hurts. Number 8, canned vegetables and fruit. Dry goods cover calories, but canned produce is how you avoid the nutrient gaps that dry storage food creates over weeks or months. Vitamin C, potassium, the things that start causing real problems when they're missing for too long. Commercially canned food is rated for 2 to 5 years, but the actual shelf life is usually much longer than the label suggests, as long as the can isn't dented, bulging, or rusted through. The nutrients do degrade slowly over time, which is the trade-off. This isn't a buy once, forget forever item like rice or honey. It needs rotation. It's also the easiest food on this list to prepare. No cooking required, no water needed, just a can opener, which notably is its own point of failure if you don't own a manual one. The move. Buy a mix of vegetables and fruit, not just one or the other, and rotate stock. Eat the oldest cans first and replace them. This is the one category on the list that actually needs a system, not just storage. Food 9, hard wheat berries or flour alternative. Last on the list, and the one almost nobody stocks, whole wheat berries, the unprocessed kernel before it's milled into flour. Ground fresh with a hand mill, they make flour with a shelf life measured in decades, versus regular flour, which starts losing quality and going rancid within a year, because the oils in it are already exposed. This is the difference between having bread as an option in month 1 of an emergency versus month 18. Wheat berries can be ground fresh as needed, sprouted for a fresh vegetable when produce is unavailable, or even cooked whole like a grain, similar to rice. It's a bigger upfront investment than most of this list. A hand grain mill isn't cheap, but it's the item that turns a pile of shelf-stable calories into actual, familiar meals. Bread, pancakes, tortillas. Over a timeline, none of the other items on this list can match. The move. If a hand mill isn't in the budget yet, start with the wheat berries alone. They store for decades either way, and the mill can come later. Food at 10, rolled oats. Oats are the food most people already eat weekly, which is exactly why they're worth stockpiling. Nobody has to adjust to a new taste when everything else is already unfamiliar. A 25-pound bag costs under $20 and stored properly in an airtight container lasts up to 20 years. The math on oats is quietly excellent. About 150 calories per half cup serving, with fiber and protein that actually keep you full. Unlike rice or plain crackers, which spike hunger again within a couple of hours. That matters more than it sounds like when food is being rationed, and you need each meal to actually last. They're also the most flexible item on this list. Cooked with water, they're breakfast. Ground in a blender, they become a flour substitute for flatbreads. Mixed with powdered milk and honey, they become a shelf-stable energy bar with almost no effort. The move. Buy old-fashioned rolled oats, not instant. Instant oats are more processed, more expensive per calorie, and don't store as long. split into smaller airtight containers with oxygen absorbers, same as the rice. Food 11. Powdered eggs. This is the item that surprises people the most because eggs seem like the definition of perishable. And yet powdered eggs, stored correctly, last 10 years or more, and one could typically replace around 90 fresh eggs. Protein is where most long-term food plans quietly fall apart. Rice, oats, and canned vegetables cover calories, but a diet without a real protein source starts causing muscle loss and fatigue within a few weeks, right when physical labor around the house is often at its highest. Powdered eggs close that gap without needing refrigeration or live chickens. They're also more versatile than people expect, scrambled with a splash of stored water, baked into bread using the wheat, berries, and oil already on this list, or used as a binder for other shelf-stable meals. For a food most people assume can't be stockpiled at all, it does a lot of quiet, essential work. The move. Buy from a company that specifically freeze dries or spray dries for long-term storage, not the small canisters marketed for camping trips. Those are rated for a fraction of the shelf life. None of these 11 foods are expensive, and none of them require a bunker or a bug-out bag. They're food you can buy at a normal grocery store this week and forget about for years. That's the whole point. The Red Cross isn't asking you to become a prepper. They're asking you to close a gap most households don't even know they have. If you want to understand just how deep this economic strain actually runs, watch the video on the left. And if you want to see what happens when families run out of options entirely, watch the video on the right. Don't forget to subscribe.